the key in that? And did you think you guys were going to be a good run defense going in this year?
Well, our kids are attacking the line of scrimmage, and they're playing with discipline in their gaps, and that's really what run defense is. So if you can control your gap, you know, we're a single gap control defense. So if you can control your gap, swarm through it, you got a chance to play good run defense. And then obviously someone has to make the tackle. Hopefully a few people. That was a big challenge last week, and now we got another big challenge this week. Really fine running back and an offensive line that is really good and very, very well coached.
How good of a tackling team is this? It just seems like you have a lot of guys, when they're put one-on-one, they're making the stop. And in times in the past year, it's been a little difficult.
We're getting better, but I wouldn't say we're there by any means. As far as tackling is a hard thing in this day and age. You know, teams force you to defend sideline to sideline, and this week will be no different. It'll be a different way to do it, but they get you running. They're a zone scheme team, and they get you running, and then they pierce you. And you know, if you're not under control, you're out of control, you won't be able to make the tackle. So it's a huge challenge, and they're good at running the football, and they win. When they're successful running it, they win.
This is another team with a good running back, a good tight end, but it's not Penn State's offense. What would you say when you look at Iowa and their scheme?
Well, you're right. It's very different. This is an NFL-style offense. They're an inside and outside zone team. They throw the ball down the field. They have a big, strong quarterback. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. Really strong arm. They have a really good tight end, and they have receivers that are very, very good receivers. They're very good route runners. Very good. And they have a young kid, number 6, who's electrically fast. So there's a lot of, just like last week, there's a lot of challenges to be addressed, you know, and it's hard to have enough guys to do it.
Coach, what can you take away from the game that you played last week? Obviously, you did really well against the run, but what can you take away going up against this Iowa team? Even though you said they're different, obviously there has to be some things that you can look at and say this can be effective against a team like this as well.
Well, I think the biggest thing you take away from a game like last week is a life lesson. You know, if you keep battling through adversity, it'll turn eventually, hopefully before the clock runs out. And it took almost every second of the game. And that's what we need to know, you know, because you get into November, it's really hard to win football games. And you really got to be locked in and focused. And you have to be able to push through things that, you know, maybe aren't going so well, because it's the way it is in November.
Greg, Wadley, their number one running back, specifically with him, what problems does he present from the standpoint? There's a lot of P's in there, sorry about that. But what problems does he present from the standpoint of he runs, but he also gets the ball out of the backfield and stuff? What stands out about him in your opinion?
Elite change of direction, elite, very good pass receiver.
Yeah.
Those two things. You know, when he runs the football, like I said, they're a zone scheme, so he's hunting and pecking for daylight. He's stretching the defense, and then when he sees it, he sticks a foot in the ground. Very hard to react as fast as he can react, because, like I said, he has rare change of direction, so it's a challenge.
Would you call their offense, is it methodical? What would you call it? Because they ran, I think, 61, 66 plays last week, as opposed to Minnesota ran like 90 and stuff. But do they just want to have a rhythm? You know, explain what you're looking at there when you just watch them play the game.
It's an NFL offense. That's what it is. So when you watch a game on Sunday, that's what you see. That's what they run.
Greg,
how do you avoid the letdown after an emotional win like you just had, especially when you're going on the road?
Our whole thing is we keep challenging ourselves to be the best we can be, and that's today's practice. That's all it was. A highly emotional practice. Guys giving great effort. And we understand that if we practice really, really hard and really, really well, it's going to carry into the game. And that's, you know, we don't worry about Saturday today. We worry about Tuesday today. And that may sound like coach speak, but it's not. It's hard to do. It's really hard to do. And it's got to be a collective commitment to doing that.
Greg, Urban said a couple weeks ago when two of you were out recruiting, you had a conversation about Jordan Fuller and just sort of how about, you know, he was coming on a little bit, and that showed in the last two games. What have you seen out of him specifically? I guess it's helped him take his game up a few notches now.
I think he's gaining confidence. You know, he never started before. This is his first year starting, so I think he felt his way through the first couple games, figuring out what he can and can't do. And you could see him start to really get more confident after plays, little things that as a coach you notice. And he's becoming more and more comfortable. He's seeing more and more offensive football, so he understands things better. And that's usually that's the way it progresses. As guys get more comfortable with everything around them, they start to play faster. And I can see him starting to play faster.
And I know you said you wish as a whole the tackling was better. What about Jordan specifically with his tackling? He had a few tackles of Barkley in the backfield.
Well, I don't think that we're, I should probably rephrase that. I think we can get better at tackling.
Right.
I think we're tackling pretty well, but I always think if you miss one tackle, it's one too many. Jordan is a good tackler. He made a tackle on Barkley the other night that was a big play saving tackle in the backfield. He's a strong guy. He's a big safety. He's the kind of safety you want.
How close is he to being a red line guy?
He's still got work to do. And so much of that is anticipation, and then some of it is physical attributes. So it's both.
And Greg, how's Damon Webb played this year? He's been the one guy that pulled over. They hung on him. To me, like he had a very solid year.
I agree with you. I think he's had a very solid. I think the play that he made, that they called interference on, that was a glimpse of what we needed to do here in the back part of the season. I mean, that was a red line to red line play. That looked like a guy that's playing. He used to play here. He really took off and went and got that thing.
I know what you're going to say at this point. That's not like, would you be going to call?
I'm not allowed to comment on that.
Did you guys get an explanation? Because they called it on Damon Webb,
right,
but it looked like it was Arnett if they were going to call anything.
Did they call it on Webb?
They called it on.
Yeah.
Once it was called, I just stopped even thinking about it, so I didn't even know who they called it on. So
What did you sound like?
yeah, it was kind of roller coaster, right? Because it wasn't just not an interception; it was a touchdown.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that hasn't happened very
well,
much.
the next play, the other one, the other one was the 50-50 ball.
That's right. That's a different play. That was the other one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we could have still stopped him. You're right.
In terms of Damon, though, I mean, he came in last year. He was okay, but I don't think you would agree he wasn't spectacular. And this year, how much progression has there been with him?
He's progressed again. Remember, we moved him sometime in the spring before 16. So he only had played safety for half the spring, maybe. 8 practices, 9. I can't really remember, but it was something like that. And then a training camp, and then go play football. So I think he learned the position last year and got more and more comfortable. Having a full off season to evaluate his own play, then go through another spring practice, another training camp. I think he has a much better feel for the whole defense. He's the guy who gets us lined up. Now Jordan's really starting to come on with that. So between the two of them, when you get two guys that can communicate and figure out problems out there, that's when you're really cooking. And I think we're starting to get that. And there's starting to become a chemistry between those two guys.
Greg, have you ever heard Jordan sing?
No, I've heard his mom sing. I've never heard him sing.
Okay. I know it's kind of an out of left field question, but he described himself as someone who doesn't like the spotlight, but it's coming to him. I just wonder what his personality is when you get to see him behind the scene, and if he'd ever actually dropped any notes for you guys in a meeting or anything like that.
Why is he a singer?
Apparently he's the best singer in the family, his mom excluded.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be a big ticket. No, I haven't. But he's a neat kid. A lot of fun to coach. Very intelligent. Loves football. Takes care of business. Like I said, got a lot of promise. Thanks, guys.